All right, today we're talking about adding positive and negative numbers. Notice that I did not say subtracting them. We're only focusing on addition of positive and negative numbers, and that is because the rules for adding positive and negative numbers, they're different than the rules for subtracting positive and negative numbers. Now, this is a reference sheet that I give to my students with the rules. So my students should all have that. But let's first start with just looking at the plain old number line. So some kids like working with this number line with the positive side and the negative side, and some kids don't. The good news is that once you know the rules and you have applied those rules a lot through practice, you won't even need this number line at all. But let's just start there. Let's say I have 1 plus 2. Easy problem equals 3. Now just remember that we have invisible, put it in parentheses to make it clearer, invisible positive signs with the positive numbers. If it helps you to include these positive signs when you're working with positives and negatives, for sure keep them in. If you don't need them, don't bother. But anyway, back to it. Let's say I have 1 plus 2. Well, we have 1 here. I'm going to jump 2 ahead, and we end up on 3. Pretty straightforward. What if I have negative 1 plus negative 3? Now, the way to think of negatives is you're always going in a negative direction, which is this way, leftward on the number line. So looking simply at negative 1, and then you're going negative or leftwards. Some people might even say backwards, but it's technically not backwards, but negative 1, and then we're jumping 3 left. 1, 2, 3. It actually equals negative 4. And if you look back at the rule, a negative plus a negative always equals a negative. As an example, negative 7 plus negative 3 equals negative 10. Negative 100 plus negative 6 equals negative 106. Now what you're going to notice is basically one way you can do it is just add these numbers, add the whole numbers, and then throw in that negative sign. So, as examples, negative plus negative equals negative. Negative 4 plus negative 4 equals negative 8, because negative plus negative equals negative. Negative 5 plus negative 3 also equals negative 8. Negative 10 plus negative 10 equals negative 20. We're adding the whole numbers, and we're throwing in that negative sign. Negative 2 plus negative 1 equals negative 3. Negative 1,000 plus negative 500 equals negative 1,500. Hopefully you get the idea. Okay, so we know how to add now when two numbers being added together are both negative. We know how to add positive and positive because we've always known that positive numbers plus positive numbers equals positive numbers. 4 plus 4 equals 8. 100 plus 50 equals 150. 3 plus 1 equals 4. Now here is where it gets interesting. Positive plus negative. What does it equal? Well, it simply depends. And the rule is whatever two numbers you're adding together, if one is positive and the other one is negative, you basically subtract the smaller number from the larger number, regardless of the signs. You could ignore the signs, plus or minus, and then the answer will use the sign of the larger number. Let's do some examples there. So, well, first let's see why this works on the number line. Let's say I have the problem negative 3 plus 2. Well, we start here, negative 3 but we have a positive 2, so we're jumping to rightwards, and we get -1. So on a number line, we can see why it all makes sense. But using our rules, which is negative plus positive, opposite signs, we take the larger number, we're just ignoring the signs, the invisible positive there, we're just ignoring them. And we're going to take the smaller number and subtract it from the bigger number. 3 minus 2 equals 1. And now our answer is going to be 1, but we're going to apply the sign of the larger number. And by the larger number, I mean regardless of the positive or negative signs, regardless of the signs, we're going to take that. 3 is larger than 2, even though technically 2 is greater than -3. But ignoring the signs, 3 is greater than 2. So the answer becomes -1. Let's do some more examples here. And once you practice this a lot, honestly, you won't need to remember the rules because it will just come naturally to you, like riding a bike. It'll just come naturally to you. You will know exactly what to do. So again, we're doing positive plus negative. It depends. Let's do -4 plus -4 plus 3. Well, I'm going to just ignore the signs, subtract smaller number from the larger number, regardless of signs, we get 1. But then we have to apply the sign of the greater number. So the answer is -1. 2 plus -3. We subtract, regardless, you know what, let me add the positive sign here. We subtract the smaller number from the larger number, regardless of the signs. 3 minus 2 is 1. But then we have to apply the sign of the larger number. So we've got -1. 2 plus -3. And why that works on the number line, we've got 2 plus -3, 1, 2, 3. It gives us -1. So we know it checks. If you're not sure, you can always check on the number line or draw a number line. Let's do -5 plus 8. Well, 8 minus 5 is 3. And 8 is the greater number, so we apply that sign. So the answer is +3. -10 plus 20. 20 minus 10 is 10. And we have the positive as the greater number. So we apply the positive in our answer. 10 plus -20. We do the same thing. 20 minus 10 is 10. But this time, 20 is the larger number and has a negative sign. So we apply a negative sign. And the answer is -10. Let's do a couple more. -3 plus 15. 15 minus 3. That's 12. And it stays positive because 15 is positive. Now, the one place where I forgot to mention is when you are dealing with opposite numbers. Opposite numbers are numbers that are the same number but with different signs. They are also the same distance from 0. So 3 plus -3 equals 0. 2 plus -2 equals 0. You can throw those signs in. 1 million plus -1 million is also just plain old 0. Let's do a couple more. 15 plus -5, that equals 10. 15 minus 5 is 10. We take the sign of the larger number. 10 plus -3, that's 7. -10 plus 3 is going to be -7. So hopefully I haven't lost you. Hopefully you get it. And we'll do some, at least my class will do more practice in our group. Till next time, mathematicians.